to a transport man and smiled and let him by. While those other trucks were waiting, Sam don't hesitate. He'd grab a gear and move on with a twinkle in his eye. Then he'd look back at those drivers who were waiting to be cleared by those terrifying transport men that every truck he did. And he'd see the same old faces that he'd see every day, just staring at him blankly as he drove his rig away. There'd be Mark from Maine, Nicholas, Tom from TNT, Tiny Tim from Oberon, a hot-foot man with cheese, Wally Weston Transport, and George from DNR, all waiting for the transport man to step out of his car. And meantime, Sam the tricky truckie just kept on being lucky. He'd drive right past the transport men who didn't even glance. With that transport check behind, Sam would let that rig unwind and think about the other men who had to take their chance. There was Albert from a booze, Blinky Bill from Brambles, Holloman a mile away, all caught up in that shambles. Friskies, Hood, Stevens, Ted from T.O.P., all caught up by those transport men while Sam was rolling free. Then one day that tricky truckie, he wasn't quite as lucky. He bumped into a transport man he hadn't seen before. So Samuel thought he'd try him, and he promptly tried to buy him. But the transport man said, "Samuel, son, that's against the law." So they put him in a prison for bribery and graft, along with 18 transport men that Sam sent down the shaft. Now he looks out from his tiny cell and sees trucks go by, and thinks about his trucking days with a teardrop in his eye. There goes Paul from Cooper's Carrying, and Job from Jackson Spring, Frank the Foot from Fleetways. Man, he really pushed that thing. There was Donahoe and Cubico and Follows and FL. And Alfie Arm from Old Trans, old Sam remembers well. So watch that tricky truckie that seems to drive on through. Never trust the transport men, they'll throw the book at you. They'll throw the book at you.
I was out on the West Coast, trying to make a buck. Things didn't work out and I was down on my luck. I got tired of roaming and bumming around, so I started thumbing back east towards my hometown. Made a lot of miles first 2 days, and I figured I'd be home in a week if my luck held out this way. But the third night I got stranded way out of town at a cold, lonely crossroads. Rain was pouring down. I was hungry and freezing, done caught a chill, and the lights of a big semi topped the hill. Lord, I was sure glad to hear them air brakes come on, and I climbed in that cab where I knew it'd be warm. At the wheel sat a big man. He weighed about 210, and he stuck out his hand and he said with a grin, "Big Joe's the name." And I told him mine, and he said the name of my rig is the Fan-T-raK. I asked him why he called his rig such a name, and he said, "Son, this old Mac can put 'em all to shame. Ain't a driver or a rig a running any line that's seen nothing but taillights from the Fan-T-raK. Well, we rode and talked the better part of the night when the lights of a truck stop came in sight, and he said, "I'm sorry, son, this is as far as you go, because I got to make a turn just on up the road." Well, he tossed me a dime as he pulled her into low and said, "Have yourself a hot cup on Big Old Joe." And then Joe and his rig roared out into the night, and nothing fled, he was out of sight. Well, I went inside and ordered me a cup, and I told the waiter that Big Joe was setting me up. Well, you could have heard a pin drop. Got deathly quiet, and the waiter's face turned kind of white. "Well, did I say something wrong?" I said with a halfway grin. He said, no, this happens every now and then. Every driver in here knows Big Joe. But son, let me tell you what happened about 10 years ago. At the crossroads tonight where you flagged him down, there was a busload of kids coming home from town, and they were right in the middle when Big Joe topped the hill. Could have been slaughter, but he turned his wheels. Well, Joe lost control, went into a skid, and he gave his life to save that bunch of kids. And there at the crossroads was the end of the line for Big Joe and the Phantom 309. But every now and then, some hiker will come by, and like you, Big Joe, give him a ride. Here, have another cup, and forget about that dime. We can keep that as a souvenir from Big Joe and the Phantom 309.
Transport car was burning up the highway.